What the videos show is me being a super skillful artisan spray painter, but we have to be absolutely truthful here. It was a long way from that. It's actually taken me probably a couple of months to get to this point, just odd days here and there chipping away. So what I've done is I ended up doing bits of the spraying at different times just because of the facilities I've got, and it inevitably meant that as I did more spraying I got a little bit slicker at it. So some of the early bits that I'd done when I held them up against the newer bits looked absolutely terrible. The high build primer went on okay, but then when I looked really closely it was a little bit orange peel, so I ended up sanding it back and got a really good surface under that, so that was fine. Then doing the base coat colour, again the early ones looked okay, but then it was once I then did some of the latter ones that looked much better, and then I had to redo them, and I couldn't get quite the same mix each time. So what I ended up doing was putting lightly sanding, like 1000 grit sandpaper, lightly sanded everything. So there's some base layers on, but I did a really good sanding over, and then I managed to squeeze everything in the garage and sprayed the whole lot in one go, and then put clear coat on. And by that time at least I was just crap. I wasn't completely a complete newcomer, and now actually it looks pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with the finish on things now. If I put this up to the light, you know, I'm pretty pleased with that. Certainly for my non-concourse, it's going to be absolutely fine. What I have noticed is that there's probably, I can see a little bit there, I don't know whether that's going to show up on the camera or not, but there's a few runs in the clear coat. So what I've just been practicing on is with the glove box lid here. I've been doing some sort of fine sanding and then cutting and buffing, and that just transforms it. So that, I'm really pleased with that now. That looks absolutely great. I'm really chuffed with that. So what I've basically got to do now is the 4 or 5 places where there's some runs in the clear coat, I'm going to kind of dry 1000 grit sandpaper to file down the high spots on the runs, on the drips. Then I'm going to wet 1000 grit sandpaper that same area, finally blend in with some 2000 grit sandpaper, and then I think I can just cut and buff with the machine everything else, and it'll bring it up to that shine that I want. And then we're actually going to start putting the damn thing back together again. So although it's taken a long time, it's been incredibly satisfying, and just get to this point knowing that I've done it all is pretty exciting. I mean, this is all completely new metal that I've welded in here and here. The whole of the back of this, there's so much new welding and so on underneath that, and it looks really good. I'm really chuffed with that. Getting all these lovely round curves, a nightmare, but we are actually there now. One of these underneath this area here of this side panel, that's all re-welded and then rebuilt and sort of shaped. So again, really chuffed with all of that. So that's the next stage, just get rid of these drips and then cut and buff. See if we can get rid of this strip. I don't know how well we're going to be able to see that on the camera, but there's a run all the way along there, about 5 centimetres or so. So what I'm going to do is sand it down first with some slightly thicker sandpaper, then some 1000 grit, then some 2000 grit, and then I'm going to cut and buff the whole of this. Just trying to take the high points off. That's the worst bit there. Alright. So we've now got some 1000 grit wet and dry. And now we're finishing off with some 2000 grit. Trying to keep away from these edges here so I don't go through the clear coat. I'm just trying to feather it in. Feels tickety-boo. You'll see there's a tiny bit, a little bit more of a run there. That's all gone. So I just need to do a tiny bit more. That's our buffed and polished. It's a long way off concourse, but you know what? Happy with that.